that eat sodium caseinate. Why do they put milk in tuna fish? They put glue. They put it in Aunt Jemima pancakes. I read the cereals the other day in the supermarket, and there's only one cereal on your shelves that has casein, this glue. It's Special K. That's what makes it special. Aunt Jemima pancakes, Hostess Twinkies, your bread and cakes. This substance, this glue, if you're the average American, you eat 2 ounces, 2 full shot glasses a day of this powerful glue. Think what it's doing to your body.
Mm-hmm. You take some pot shots at this new advertising campaign of the milk mustache.
Oh, it's a hilarious campaign, and hundreds of millions of dollars are invested by the dairy industry. Spike Lee wears a milk mustache, and 95% of African Americans are lactose intolerant. Hey, Spike, you're betraying your own people. Larry King. Hi, I'm Larry King, straight from the hospital, triple bypass surgery, and I wear a milk mustache. Hey, Larry, if you're the average American from milk and dairy, you're going to eat today the same cholesterol contained in 53 slices of bacon. That's 19,300 slices a year by age 52. The same cholesterol from your butter and cheese and ice cream, the same contained in 1 million slices of bacon, Larry, and you're not going to have a clue what caused that triple bypass.
Is ice cream on our drop-dead list, too?
Ice cream is delicious. It's to die for. 10 pounds of milk make a pound of ice cream. Concentrated cholesterol and fat and hormones. Bon appetit.
Even once in a while?
It's delicious. You don't want to take that once in a while when I give you the biggest secret that I haven't even told you yet.
What?
There is a hormone in milk. Thousands of things cause breast cancer. Ladies, are you listening? Thousands. But once you get it, only one thing makes it grow. That's a hormone you naturally produce called IGF-1. That stands for insulin growth factor 1. That hormone, in all of nature, there are 4,000 mammals and 500,000 hormones. That is the only hormone in all of nature that's exactly alike between 2 animals, human and cow. You drink a 12-ounce glass of milk, you double the amount of that hormone in your body, the only hormone that makes cancer grow. You know what country has the highest rate of breast cancer? Any idea? You're listening in the audience? Mm-hmm. Most people say, when I ask that question, they say United States. It's Denmark, Norway, Holland, Sweden, Uruguay. Uruguay is on that list. They have the 3rd highest rate of breast cancer and the 3rd highest rate of milk consumption in the world. Absolute correlation because of that hormone in milk, IGF-1.
How solid is that information?
Well, the May issue of the British medical journal Lancet made front page news in every newspaper of America in May, New York Times front page, that women that have breast cancer have about 6 times the amount of that hormone, IGF-1, in their bloodstream. Cancer is very common. You can go to your library and look up this reference. November 8th, 1994, page C1, the New York Times, in their science section, had an article, an autopsy study that revealed that between the ages of 40 and 50, 39.6% of women have cancer in their breasts. Normally it stops growing, we control it. That cancer is waiting for something, a spark, a match. This hormone, IGF-1, is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It's the most powerful growth hormone we naturally make. It only has one role. It tells your cells to grow, and it doesn't discriminate when it finds a cancer. It grows like crazy, out of control.
Well, why doesn't the medical profession listen to this sort of thing?
Well, it's interesting. Monsanto, out in St. Louis, Missouri, genetically engineered milk, and when they knew they had problems, they arranged to have their attorney hired by the FDA, a man by the name of Mike Taylor, who wrote the labeling laws. Their previous attorney, when they started, was a man by the name of Clarence Thomas. We know where he is now, on the Supreme Court. Monsanto, when they had problems, they arranged to have their top scientists, Margaret Miller and Susan Station, hired by the FDA to review their own research. Monsanto, when they knew they had problems, they hired people, lobbyists, like a man who I used to respect, C. Everett Koop, to work for them. Bill Clinton, look at his State of the Union address 2 years ago. He mentions one company for the future, Monsanto. My hair stood on end when that happened. Bob Dole, when he ran for president, his chief of staff, Donald Rumsfeld, was an ex-president of the company. Remember the name Monsanto. They're going to take us into the 21st century, but be very scared, because this product caused cancer in every single laboratory animal in the 300-animal study. It was authored by Richard O'Dogley and Deslex. I still can't get the study. I lost Freedom of Information Act requests. I went to federal court. The average laboratory animal had a spleen increase 46% from this hormone, and the FDA said no biological effects. So we've been sold out.
Well, I noticed there was also a woman that wrote a report that had just left Monsanto, was still doing things for Monsanto, and she wrote a report for FDA.
Yes, her name was Margaret Miller. Yeah. And one of the things that she did that I found was such a betrayal of America, They knew, Monsanto, that cows were getting sick from this hormone, something called mastitis. They get ulcers on their udders that put more blood and pus into the milk and bacteria. So they sent Margaret Miller to the FDA. The first week there, December 3rd, 1989, the first week there, she was given the power to tell America's dairy farmers that they could put 100 times more antibiotics in milk. That changed. 100 times more antibiotics. Consumers Reports in New York tested the milk shortly after that, found 52 different antibiotic residues in milk. That's what we drink every day and eat in ice cream and butter and cheese, 40% of our diet, 100 times more antibiotics. Who's been sold out here?
What was the bit in your book, Milk, the Deadly Poison, about they're not supposed to process milk right after a calf is born or something?
Yes, right after a calf is born, the milk contains tremendously elevated, 50 times the level of these most powerful growth hormones. So they're not supposed to put that into the milk supply. You know, baby cows, people think they get their mommy's milk on the farms. They don't. They feed baby cows on these factory farms soy milk. They grow up to have strong bones. The dairy industry continues to do these ads in magazines and newspapers. The dairy industry has a toll-free number, 800-Y-MILK. Get their brochure. We have a toll-free number, 888-NOT-MILK. We'll send you the truth.
Well, with all these dangers that you talk about from cows, would any of them carry over to meat or steaks or things like that?
That is a great question. Whoever designed our stomachs did a magnificent job because we have acid in our stomach that's supposed to break everything down. The acid is so powerful, if you dip your finger in, it's going to go down to the bone in a couple of minutes. They measure the acid by pH. And the pH of your stomach right now, it should be about a 1.8. The lower you get, the more acidic. You eat a steak, the meat, the protein in that steak is going to be broken down into the basic building blocks of life, amino acids. You drink a 12-ounce glass of milk, you change the acidity. You buffer the pH from a 1.8 to a 6.0. The hormones in milk survive digestion. The hormones in steak, the same hormones, do not survive digestion. That's the difference. Milk was designed to be a hormonal delivery system to pass those lactoferrins and immunoglobulins and different factors on from the mother to the infant. It works. That's the way it was designed.
Well, if one gave up milk and still had ice cream, they'd be just as bad off, wouldn't they?
They would be horribly off. The same thing with cheese. We eat more fat today than we ate before they designed skim milk. And the reason we do is because we're eating more ice cream, cheese, and milk. And in 1951, we got some clues, Korean War, we opened up the hearts of young 18 to 20-year-olds who were in perfect shape and found they had heart disease, atherosclerosis. And the doctors doing the autopsy said it's the American diet. Well, the average American today eats only 3 ounces a day of meat or chicken containing dangerous animal fats and cholesterol. We eat more than 10 times that amount every day of milk and cheese and butter and ice cream. And that's the key here. That cholesterol in milk survives digestion. In meat, in eggs, it's broken down by that acid into a steroid hormone and a sugar. That's what cholesterol is. In milk, because of the buffering effect, it survives digestion, go directly to the arteries, do not pass go. That's the problem here.
Well, suppose your cholesterol is way down and it doesn't show any signs of going up. Is it still not allowable to have dairy products?
You just said something, diarrhea, right. Well, I'll tell you something. We've got 4 million American women, I got to jump on that one, that have irritable bowel syndrome. We've got 2 million American men, 600,000 people have Crohn's disease, and I found a bacteria, you're not going to like this word, a bacteria that's not killed by pasteurization called Mycobacterium paratuberculosis. The FDA knows it's not killed by pasteurization. All of the evidence is here. And linking this bacteria, women, these are the ones that go to their doctors, 4 million. How many have irritable bowel syndrome? A bacteria in milk that's causing it that is not killed when milk is pasteurized.
Well, doesn't pasteurization kill any of these things?
Oh, it kills plenty of them. But when you look at bacteria, blow them up under a microscope, they're very long, rod-shaped bacteria like Clostridium, paratuberculosis. At the first sign of heat, these bacteria are smart enough to form a spore inside of their cell. Spore is a Greek word for seed. When the milk cools, the seed blooms and reemerges. Smell your milk after 10 days in the fridge, you know something's growing in it. By the time you get that snap, crackle, pop on your Rice Krispies, that milk has been pasteurized 2 or 3 times Why do they have to do it 2 or 3 times? Because the bacteria continues to grow and grow, even in your fridge.
So there really is no answer other than just cutting it out.
I tell people to discover the fountain of youth. You don't want to eat that same cholesterol in 19,000 slices of bacon this year. As a matter of fact, I tell everybody in your audience to try an experiment. Go 5 days, don't eat any of the dairy products. 5 days. And then on day 6, I want you to pig out on it. Now, you're not going to quit during the first 5 days, although your body's going to feel better. But on day 6, you start your day with the cereal and eat your yogurt for a snack and a cheese sandwich and pizza and have a milkshake and ice cream for dessert. On day 6, you're going to have diarrhea for the next 2 days, and you're going to wake up and go, my God, is that what has been doing this to me all of my life? And the answer is yes. Learn the truth, be your own doctor, diagnose yourself, and discover the fountain of youth.
But being a devil's advocate, there are plenty of healthy people around that have been eating dairy products all their life.
That's correct. There are plenty of healthy people around. We have the potential today, all of us, to live to be over 100 years old. I may be a very dangerous person in America. I'm going to destroy pension funds and Social Security. Yeah, we're living 70, 80. We've done a lot of things. We've cleaned nutrition. We've made the water supply safe. We've gotten rid of a lot of disease. But you're slowly dying. The average American is going to spend 10 years dying of heart disease or cancer. I don't want you to leave your money to your doctors. I want you to die in your sleep when you're 105 years old, the way you're supposed to, the way the body is designed to. The number one influence are these 100 different antibodies we produce and 59 hormones and fat and cholesterol. You don't need this in your body, not in the name of good health.
Robert Cohen, how did you get into all of this before you wrote Milk, the Deadly Poison?
I have 3 little girls, 12, 11, and 8-year-old, and the greatest controversy in the history of the FDA was when Monsanto genetically engineered this milk protein and injected it back into cows. I read an article that was written by Dr. Heimlich's wife, the Heimlich maneuver doctor's wife, Jane Heimlich, and it talked about the controversy. And I decided to find out the truth, and this has been a 4-year voyage for me. Mm-hmm. It's been a Pandora's box.
So you've only been doing this for 4 years? I
used to do research, I'll give you a $50 word, psychoneuroendocrinology. I've operated on thousands of laboratory animals many years ago, so I have an understanding a little bit of how the body works. But better than the understanding, I have the ability to take complicated scientific data and take the information and interpolate it and interview scientists and understand the principles. And what I did was I saw an enormous scientific fraud. This new hormone in milk, in order to prove it safe, the Food and Drug Administration pasteurized milk and said, see, when we pasteurize milk, we destroy the hormone. They heated milk for 30 minutes at what normally we heat it for 15 seconds. They only destroyed 19% of the hormone. They concluded it was all destroyed. It was a lie. And I'm the one that came out and said, wait a second, guys, look what you did here. And that's why we're doing it. We're doing a show today. We originally had somebody from the dairy industry to debate me. They don't have the courage to get on a debate me any longer because they know they're in trouble. And the more people that hear this message, the scarier it's going to be, but the more healthier people that we're going to have. Eliminate this from your body. It does not do the body any good.
Is milk consumption going up or down?
Liquid milk consumption is going down in spite of the $300 million a year they spend. Every year, we eat less liquid milk, but we eat more cheese and butter, more concentrated milk. That is increasing.
I love that little test you did with children about what are their, you gave them 4 things and asked them to rate water, soda, milk, and what was the other one?
Juice.
And juice, and milk was the bottom.
Milk was the bottom. Children don't like milk, but children like their mothers and their fathers who tell them milk is good for you. And by the time you're 5 years old, you've probably heard that 11,000 times, milk is good for you, and it's part of your culture and psyche and soul, and you're going to tell that to your children. And the dairy industry spends money going into the school system and programs and television and radio, so you think milk is nature's perfect food. Body fluids from animals.
God, think of a milkshake. You get both milk and ice cream.
It's delicious, and you get the ice cream and you put caramel sauce. That's made from milk too. It's part of our culture, and it's in everything. Our food has changed the last 100 years. The dairy industry tells you we've been eating it for thousands of years. We haven't had refrigerators for thousands of years. That stuff goes bad. You wouldn't leave it out in 70-degree heat for 20 minutes. You'd throw it away. Think about before we had refrigerators. This wasn't the major part of our diet, not at all.
What about yogurt?
Yogurt is interesting. I write a column every week on the internet, so it's free information on that www.notmilk.com site. I found the Dannon Yogurt Company admitting the acidophilus in yogurt does not work. It does not culture. If you produce enough of it, it smells so bad you couldn't eat it. This is a bacteria growing, having byproducts going into a food. It does not culture in the gut. It doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you talk about skim milk is interesting. 87% of milk is water. 87. The other 13 points, 4 of those 13 points represent casein. When they take out the fat and the cholesterol, you have more protein. You have more of this casein. 500,000 kids in New York have asthma. Think about what happens when their bronchioles fill up with glue, with mucus, and they can't breathe. You're taking a substance that Dr. Spock called the most allergenic substance known to mankind. So did Frank Oski, the chief of pediatrics at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Many doctors have done that. May of 1995, a doctor's newsletter, the Townsend Medical Letter, listed casein, the most allergenic substance in our diets, and they listed 11 symptoms from milk consumption, including irritability, mood swings, depression, all caused by milk.
Robert Cohen, unfortunately, we're out of time. I'd like to mention at the conclusion that any of the topics that we have talked about, if anyone has requests for equal time, they'll be honored so that I don't go to jail.
Well, it's not a question of jail. It's a question of truth.
Right.
Nobody can stop the truth. People think I'm going to be sued like Oprah was. No way they're going to knock this carton of milk off my shoulder, guys. No way. I dare you. They're not going to do it, and they don't have the courage to come on and debate me.
Well, good luck on the book.